Good evening. A dentist from Birmingham has been found guilty of defrauding the NHS of nearly £1.4 million.
Dr. Joyce Trail, who practices in Handsworth, made thousands of claims between 2006 and 2009 for work she never actually did. Her daughter was also found guilty of conspiring in the fraud, but her sister, who works at the same practice, was cleared. Callum Watkinson reports.
Nairi, have you got for yourself?
Guilty Nairi Sterling didn't want to talk about her fraud conviction today. Her companion's views not fit for broadcast. It was her mother, Joyce Trail, who was the mastermind, one of the most prolific thieves in NHS history.
£18,000 a year on school fees, frequent Caribbean holidays, designer shoes, expensive jewellery, 2 Lexus cars, and the mortgage on this rather nice detached house, £5,000 a month. That's how Joyce Trail was living whilst declaring an income to the Inland Revenue of just under £50,000 a year.
Dr. Trail was condemned by a paper trail. When a dentist signs a contract with a PCT, the money is paid up front in monthly instalments. Every NHS job the dentist does goes towards paying off the contract, with patients signing forms as proof the work was done. Joyce Trail's deal with Birmingham and Solihull PCT cluster was for £620,000 a year. So she was paid over £50,000 a month, but instead of doing the work, she simply forged the forms, sometimes using Tipex to change the names. She was so busy in her Handsworth fraud factory that she hardly did any real dentistry at all. Investigators found more than 7,000 false claims over 3 years. 3/4 of all Joyce Trail's NHS claims were fake. The total cost of the fraud was almost £1.4 million.
A dentist charges the NHS 12 times for a set of dentures what they would charge for a simple clean and polish. So the more false teeth Joyce Trail pretended to make, the more her false claims were worth. And so she targeted old people's homes, including this one in Sutton Coldfield. She would approach the homes, offer her services, and then submit a veritable production line of false denture claims in the names of the residents. Claims went in for phantom dentures for patients who had their own teeth, patients who hadn't asked for them, patients who paid privately, and on 154 occasions, patients who were dead when Joyce Trail said she was fitting them with dentures.
Dentists are supposed to get dentures made in professional labs like this one. The technician sends a docket back to the dentist, who keeps it as proof the work was done. For her imaginary dentures, Trail had to forge these too, by the thousand. Nairi worked at the practice and was responsible for finding new care home business. Joyce's sister Fiona worked there too, but she was cleared of involvement in the fraud.
There was an additional charge of conspiracy to pervert the course of justice against the 2 older women, that's Joyce Trail and her sister Fiona. The allegation was that the day after their arrest for fraud in 2009, they had contacted a witness in that fraud prosecution and asked him to lose vital evidence. On that charge, both the women were cleared by the jury.
The General Dental Council are conducting their own investigation and are bound to strike Joyce Trail off. Her days of extracting both teeth and money over, she'll soon be getting used to a very different set of bars. Callum Watkinson in Birmingham for Central Tonight.
Well, Callum joins us now in the studio. And Callum, you've been following this case from start to finish. One thing that has emerged is that this isn't the first time that Joyce Trail has been found guilty of fraud, is it?
Well, no, she was wrapped fairly heavily across the knuckles for this kind of thing as recently as 2004. It was an internal investigation by the PCT, not a criminal one like we've just had. But at the end of that, she was required to pay back some £320,000 then for exactly this kind of behaviour. Yet just 2 years later, we see her beginning this same fraud and conducting this kind of behaviour right under the noses of those people who investigated her. The other question really is about the size of Joyce Trail's contract. Now, without wishing to get too technical, these contracts are bid for in things called UDAs, units of dental activity, not cash. 1 unit of dental activity is a cleaning, 12 is a set of dentures. The guidance is that one dentist working alone can do between 7,000 and 10,000 UDAs a year. Joyce Trail, working alone, was awarded a contract for 37,000 UDAs a year. So I think two questions for the PTC really. One, why was Joyce Trail's contract so large? And number two, how was she able to get away with this for so long when they knew she had form for this kind of thing?
Callum, thank you very much.